So getting into volume 11 of Slime, again, I will make a note that this is a review, not a synopsis. Recently, I have had people complain that I'm not giving a 3-hour read-by-read of everything that happens in these light novels. Again, these are reviews, not synopsis. I will talk about things that happen in the light novel and things that I like and find interesting that really stick out to me. And honestly, this volume is really awesome, but I will say it really takes quite a bit of time to get into the real sort of fun stuff, the meat and potato, the thing that you're kind of really there for at the front cover of the actual light novel. And there's definitely a lot of awesome moments as well, and there's definitely a lot of moments that I'm really interested to see how they play out. Particularly Leon. Leon is someone that I didn't like at the start, but I've kind of grown to like him, and he is such a softie. He's a demon lord, and he is the biggest softie on the planet. And a lot of that comes down to his history, why he's there, why he's doing things. He kind of looks like a villain, but he's not. He's just misunderstood. And I kind of knew that already before this volume because I already knew bits and pieces. But to kind of see the full context of it all is quite nice. And it is very heartwarming to see Leon get his moment to kind of reconcile with certain issues that have kind of been brewing up, and of course Rimuru got a good smack on his face, but Leon allowed that, and that's what I really thought was quite interesting. Leon understands what he did wrong and how he went about things and how it wasn't really quite nice what he did to certain people and how he treated them and how he was going about summoning, you know, these kids to try and find a certain individual. But at the same time, he had his reasons, and that is one of the things that I've always loved about, you know, animes, particularly isekais, where you have characters that are good, but they do things that are questionable. It's that kind of, you know, generic versus problematic topic that I had only the other week, which I think some people just only read the title and didn't get the actual context of the video, and that's the problem with people that only read titles and then leave angry comments going, oh my god, you said this, and it's like, it was in brackets, it was a quotation. But the point that I was making is that Leon has done some things that would be frowned upon, and I mean, obviously he's done some, you know, not so nice things, but at the same time he's not as bad as perceived, and there's also a lot of reasons and motives, and he's also, you know, showing remorse as well. When Rimuru gives him a snob in the face, Leon allows that. Leon does not stop it because Leon understands why Rimuru is doing it, and they, you know, they trust each other, they work together, and they end up overcoming the big issue for this volume, which of course is a certain individual that had lost everything. He's really not that important in the overall grand scheme of things. Granbell is his name. With Granbell going completely cuckoo, it has that sort of feel that he was more just a pawn in the overall grand scheme of things and to kind of push things forward. But what I really loved, again, is Diablo, Leon. The clowns are quite interesting because I do feel like something is going to happen with those clowns because they're getting in more and more dangerous situations, and they're starting to really annoy people much more because they're really getting into the conflict of things. But now that Leon and Rimuru are on good terms, Lumerus is also on good terms, but Lumerus was kind of always on good terms if you actually read the light novel and learn that actually Lumerus knew Rimuru was coming from the very beginning. She knew all of this because she was told in the past by people that went back in the past, which of course is to do with Chloe and of course our lovely knight herself. I kind of call her a Tsundere a little bit, or Dorore, or however you pronounce it, but they went back in time and they kind of played events out, which was, again, Chloe technically's body is the one that sealed Veldra, but Hinata, however you pronounce it, blah, 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 English, is the one that actually technically did it in her body because her consciousness was in her body. So there's some really hocus pocus magic stuff and time travel going on because technically she died and her consciousness got sucked up by Chloe's body, and so they went back in time and then they did this whole big event where they play out, they, you know, they fight Veldra, they seal him up, they set things in motion to make sure that Rimuru does not die due to certain events that play out. And then it leads up to this big event where Rimuru then does what's necessary to basically fix everything. Basically has to create a duplicate mask, put it on the body. There's this alternate personality that's kind of built into her. I personally feel like I would need to read the last chapter or so to kind of get the full context again, because there is a lot of complexity behind it, and this is more just my raw thoughts after reading the actual light novel. There's also the Ifrit thing as well, where Ifrit comes back and works for Veldra, and Leon sees that, and Leon doesn't have any problems with that, and Leon's just kind of happy that everyone's kind of, you know, moving on and living life better. And that's what I mean. Leon's such a softie. For a Demon Lord, he is a softie. And I feel like him and actually Rimuru are going to get along. Now, there's some stuff to do with Guy as well. He's very intrigued by Rimuru, but I also feel like Guy is possibly going to get rubbed the wrong way fairly quickly, because I feel like there's going to be some interesting power dynamics and unbalancing going on. Because again, the balance in the world is shifting and changing at a rapid rate. Like, Rimuru is now at the point where he even says at the end of the volume that he needs more power. He needs to get stronger. He needs to be prepared, because there are people out there that want to do harm to him and his friends and technically his family, because everyone is his family, his people. The people that he takes care of, that's his family. Rimuru now knows that he needs to gain more power to protect himself and those around him. And Diablo does get some new minions as well. There's some nice, cute, I wouldn't call them lolly demons, but they're just more like teenagers slash young adult demons that are like super old, like several thousand years old, and they're just kind of like gangsters. I really like them. I think they're kind of fun, especially their personalities and the way they interact with Diablo, and they're trying to sort of vie for Rimuru's attention. I think it's absolutely hilarious. I feel like it just adds more people to the harem. It's just like an infinite harem works when it comes to Rimuru, but again, he's not going to hook up with anyone. Otherwise, he's got a lot of people to pick from. I really love this volume. I just feel like it starts off slow, and there's a lot of politics at the start, and I mean a lot. You've got Leon's meeting with the clowns, and there's this bit of negotiation, and things kind of fall through. They try to set Leon up to fight Rimuru. That doesn't turn out. And then that's when Shion's cooking Diablo's minions, the weapons with the enchanted gems, the sockets. There's a lot of, you know, extra power progression when it comes to weaponry, skills, etc., etc. Training the dungeon with, of course, Milim and all that. And then you got the new technology, the science group, and the lazy demon lord, as I call him, that comes over to Rimuru to hang out, which is Dino. And then the thousands of bodies, which are also used not just for Diablo's new minions, but also for the Dryads as well. Then Ifrit gets involved, where they brought them back, given them a name, which Cherries is the name, depending on how you want to pronounce it. Then more Diablo stuff. Then the kids, the school training, Lumerus's meeting with Granbell, the rebellion. Then Leon discovering about the kids, the yellow demon. And then, of course, the baiting, the attack, and that's where everything really starts to escalate and get really out of control. That's where they fight, they do that fake fight. That is then where the whole time travel stuff starts to happen as well, because Granbell and all those end up killing a certain knight, a Sundari, and that's where Chloe goes back in time. And it also shows that Chloe doesn't really have any control of her power. I don't know if she still does, because Rimuru technically goes inside her and uses his, again, certain powers to reconfigure and upgrade all her skills. So she's really powerful. And that's what I mean about the power balance. Because Chloe has two forms actually. She has her kid form and her adult form. So she goes around in her kid form so that she can interact with her other friends and not scare them, and then also has the adult form and then can switch between the thing that's built into her. Again, I'm going to need to read the actual chapters again at the end just to kind of get the full picture of everything that's going on. But again, just wanted to say this is just my raw opinions on the whole review. So I'm not giving an analysis or anything. It's a review. Calm down. The whole thing is that Rimuru now has a lot more power because he's got an ally, which technically she has time travel on her side, but I don't really think that's ever going to be used in any way. But she is still really powerful. I mean, she technically beat Veldra and imprisoned him. Technically someone else was in her body, but she has that power, that potential, and with some training she can become more skilled. But then she's been around for several thousand years, so technically she's got a lot of experience under her belt anyway, to a point. So she's insanely powerful, and that's Rimuru's ally. Technically she's in love with Rimuru, but still, I digress. So when you look at the overall power balance, Rimuru technically hasn't gained any power, but he's gained more powerful allies, especially with all the demons as well, and naming them. Yeah, power balance is changing very rapidly, and I think that is going to start upsetting certain parties. So I feel like in volume 12 or 13 or something, Rimuru is going to have to acquire new power. Which is also funny because it really just shows Rimuru is not, you know, super powerful. He's not like OP. That's the thing. Rimuru isn't OP to the point of he can beat anyone. And that's, I think, something that a lot of people misunderstand. Yes, Rimuru is insanely powerful compared to the overall percentage of people that live on that planet, but then there are a lot of people that don't possess any power or skills, so of course he's stronger. But when you compare to other demon lords and other powerful entities, you know, hiding in the shadows, and those that do want to do harm to him, he is actually a bit unprepared. And that's where I feel like he's going to need more power, more knowledge, and more allies to work with him, because again, you don't want to allow the enemy to get a one-up on you. So I do think that's really interesting. And again, yes, he is insanely powerful, but compared to some of his enemies, not super OP. It's not like it's Irons where he's like the strongest and no one can challenge him kind of perspective. No, Rimuru does have some challenges out there. Again, you could say, well, Milim, but Milim's not going to try and hurt him unless she actually legitimately gets brainwashed, which not going to happen. But to me, it's obvious that Rimuru needs to acquire more power for himself to protect himself, because he needs to protect himself and those around him. So I'd love to know your thoughts in the comment section down below. What did you think of volume 11? I thought it was really interesting, though again, as I said at the start, it's a bit slow, but it gets really interesting as the volume goes on. It's a very big, thick, meaty volume. So again, love to know your thoughts. But if you like this video, hit the like button, subscribe for more anime content, and I will see you beautiful nerds in the next video.